What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another iGP Manager video from Box Gaming. I am Justin, of course, and today we're going to be going a little bit more advanced with things. We're going to be using, we're going to be watching a race from one of my main accounts. Again, that other one that I created, that was just to kind of explain things to you guys. But I'm going to go a little bit further into, a little bit more in depth into some things in this video. This one I don't have so much of a structure as I may have in previous videos. So this one will be just a little bit more all over the place. Don't get too worried, as obviously I'll be focusing on a page at a time and stuff like that. But again, I don't have a plan going into it. It'll just kind of it'll explain itself basically as I go through. I'll explain things as they're happening, and you'll kind of get an idea of what it's like to actually be in a league. Once you're higher level, you got all your KERS, your DRS, and everything like that. Again, I'm only level 7 on this one. I'm very close to level 8. 2 more races and I'll be level 8. 2 more races. So, but before the end of this season, the upcoming race for this this is in the AOR League. They race Wednesdays and Saturdays. You can see it's 1 p.m. local time for me, is when the race starts. You can see down at the bottom left, we got just over 18 minutes until the race begins. You can also see under practice that I've already done 2 out of my 5 test runs. A lot of times I will do test runs the night before a race, or the day before a race, or in the morning before the race, just so that I have a baseline, because you know, sometimes I forget to do it. So it's never a bad idea to go ahead and just do 1 or 2 of the practice runs, and then I like to save the rest of them for just before qualifying, which is right now, obviously. So we're gonna go ahead and take care of those tests before we do anything else. So I'm going to go to League, and the next race I've already set up to replace all of my parts except for the engine. I'm trying to save engines for next season, so I'm probably going to try and eke out this engine to the end of this season to give myself a little bit of an advantage for next season. You can see here that I'm using nearly all of my engineers and mechanics to replace all of these parts. You can see that it's only going to be about 400,000. You can see also that I have $136 million. So really, this is, like I said in the previous video, this sort of money is really chump change. So it really doesn't mean anything. So now we're going to go over to my driver tab. Her last name is Davi. She's from Brazil, and again, I've already done a couple of runs, so it's going to be minor tweaking. Also, it's 30 laps. Excuse me, 30 laps. So I'm going to be doing. I don't want to do 3 10-lap stints. I don't think that's going to be the way to go. So I'm going to do 2 7-lap stints and 2 8-lap stints. So I'm going to start with the 7, try and build a gap to as much of the field as I can in the opening stint. Then I'm going to have my 2 slightly longer stints at 8 laps. And then I'm going to have another short stint at the end, another 7-lap stint, which will hopefully be good, because that's where I'm going to be using all my KERS, is in the final stint. So it's super softs at Singapore, so as you can imagine, I definitely want to be using We Must Bring the Car Home, Don't Take Any Risks. I am prepared to switch to softs if I need to make that switch. However, it's not too bad. It's 25C, and I'm on the Comb Homes. I specifically went for the Comb Home tires for this race just to give myself that little bit of extra durability. It's really not a huge difference, but it does help, obviously. So I'm opting to run the Comb Homes with the super softs. You know, I probably could do a 2-stop and run the soft Comb Homes for 10 laps. That might actually work out, and in fact that may end up being the faster strategy, but I'd really like to go for the super softs on all 4 stints of this race. So this is what I'm working with for right now. I'm willing to switch these 2 middle ones to soft if needed. I will be going to the end of this stint. I know for a fact that the super softs will last 7 laps. In fact, I know for a fact they'll last 8 laps. And I'll show you why as soon as I'm done doing my training, because I only have a little bit of time to do that. So let's go ahead and do some training. Yeah, look at that, 5 feels good. So we're just going to up this by 1, increase this by 3. Gonna wait for the car to get off the track. Then I'm gonna hit save. I'm gonna hit test run. Look at that. Better all the time. Gonna wait for the car to get off the track once again, and then we'll do our final test. And then I'm going to show you, as you look at that, all feels good. So that's a good sign going into this race. The way that I work out my strategy a lot of times is I'll go to previous race. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Let me save that. I'll go to previous race, and then I'll go to last season, and then I'll go to Singapore. And then this is the qualifying results. We want to go to the race. So you can see I actually did not do all that well here. I don't remember the circumstances. I may not have been attending at this race. I don't think I was. I think there was something going on, and I wasn't able to make it to this race. So I wasn't able to manage my tire temperatures, which is why I was so far behind. But I don't think, but again, so I don't think that was because of pace or strategy or anything like that. I think it just had to do with my absence of not being there. But let's go ahead and see. So when you click on this, you can see I did a 6-lap stint on the Super Soft, followed by an 8-lap stint, 8-lap stint, 8-lap stint. And you can see at the end of the 8-lap stints on the Super Softs that my tire life was at 20, 21, and 20. And it was at 33 at the end of the 6-lap stint. Again, I believe that was without managing my my fuel and tires and whatnot. It does look like for 8 laps, we only need 33 liters though. Is that what I had? Let me see if that's actually what I had. 30, nope, 34. Oh, right, but I think I'm using a richer fuel this time. Yeah, because I'm using elves this time. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this at 34 for now. Probably shouldn't have messed with that. Here we go. So we're going to go back to the results here. So you can see what I went into the race with as far as strategy. You can see that I had that I finished in 6th position, scoring 8 points. I did 4 stints, pitting 3 times. My objective for the race was to finish 9th or better, which I did, so I earned a bonus of $600,000. And so this is what I'm going to use to kind of give myself a baseline for the upcoming race. Now, obviously, if it's your first season, you're not going to have any baseline to work off of. So only in your 2nd season will you start actually being able to utilize the previous races information to help you understand. Now, what's not on these pages, which would be super helpful, is the type of tire you were running at the time of the race, also the type of fuel you were running at the time of the race, and also the conditions of the race at the time. The temperature would be really useful to know. So you don't have that information. You're going to have to kind of guess at it. Singapore is one of those places. It's very near to the equator, so no matter what time of year you're racing there, the conditions are going to be fairly similar, I believe. You know, obviously it does get hotter during the summer and colder in the winter, but it's not by much, again, because of its proximity to the equator. So you don't have all the information that you're going to need here, but you do have some good information. So that, you know, this is not the end-all be-all of information, but this is going to give us a good baseline to work off of. So that's exactly what I've done. Let's go ahead and go back to next race. So again, I'm replacing everything except for the engine. I've got all my test runs done. I've got a plan for the Super Softs, and I've got a wet weather strategy, even though, again, wet weather is turned off at the moment. So everything is ready to go for the race. Now we just need to kind of wait for qualifying to finish. Again, that's usually 1 to 2 minutes after qualifying has started, and that happens in just about a minute now. So it's going to be about 2 to 3 minutes before we get the qualifying results, and so I'm going to go ahead and skip ahead to when that comes. Okay, so we're about a minute into qualifying, so any second now. Yep, you'll see I just refreshed the page and it says qualifying in progress. Practice is locked, obviously. That happened as soon as it hit 12:50 local time here. Basically, as soon as this timer says 10 minutes, that means that practicing and changing of your setup, all that stuff is locked. So let's refresh once again. And there we go. So the qualifying results are up. I'm going to go ahead and click on those. And we can see I've actually gotten pole position. That does worry me a little bit because that kind of tells me that possibly nobody else is running the Super Softs. I was 5/10 quicker than the next person. Wow, and my objective is finish second or better with Teresa Davi, so really high expectations here. Really going to have to do well. And as soon as we get to the grid, as soon as that's done loading, we will know what tires people are on. So we will know pretty straight away, even before the race starts. We will know how many other people are on super softs, how many people are on softs, and so on and so forth. Of course, the crowd is really loud right now. Uh-oh, and it's messed up. Hold on. There we go. Sometimes it does that when you full screen it too early. Oh, I'm gonna open this. Actually, we're kind of in luck with this one because Singapore looks great in this game. I really like how it looks. I mean, obviously it looks great in real life too, but it really comes out very nice with the dark background and everything. Stuff ends up looking real nice. So just getting everything open here. You can see people are joining the chat room. One thing that you're going to notice is a big difference is there's a lot more chatter in the leagues that I race in regularly versus the one that you saw in the previous video for the beginners. If you saw that video, so there's going to be a lot more chatting and smack talking and just discussions of strategy. You know, sometimes we're helpful, sometimes we're joking around with each other. It's kind of all over the place. One good thing though, the top 3 are all on Supersoft. So Cortens and Wright are also both on Supersoft, and so I am legitimately half a second faster than those guys. So we're definitely off to a good start in that respect. You'll also see that Duncan joined twice in the chat. That is because he has 2 accounts, just like I do, but he only has the 2D pack on one of them. So he spectates the race on the account that has the 2D pack while he's managing his driver on the other account. There is a little bit of a delay when you're spectating a race, but it's really not that bad, and it's still pretty helpful to have that 2D up. So. Again, as I mentioned in a previous video, you only get 2D for the first 30 days of the service. So when you make a new account, you get the 2D pack for the first 30 days, which gives you an idea of how great it is to be a subscriber, basically. And then you can kind of decide if you want to keep down that route. Essentially, I'm not sure if I'm going to do a video with it or not, but if you don't have a subscription, then that means you have to manage your race from the live timing, which doesn't have the 2D cars and the map and everything like that. Basically, just look at the right side of this screen. That's what it looks like without 2D. You still have the driver stuff at the bottom left as well, but the whole map thing is gone. The KERS and tire temperatures of my opponents, that's also gone. You only get that with 2D. So you see it says KERS next to people's names. That isn't there if you don't have the 2D pack. I'm sorry, I meant to turn this down. So also the tire temperatures, these tire temperatures, that's not there if you don't have 2D either. So you can only see your own tire temperatures if you don't have the subscription. Again, it's nice having it. It's not crucial. You can absolutely be successful without having 2D. There are plenty of people that have proven it. But it is nice. I will admit that. They are also, coincidentally, I looked on the forums today. They are also looking for volunteers to be moderators on their forums. And they said they would be able to provide 2D packs to any of the moderators that signed up. So if any of you guys are really into the game but you don't have a 2D pack and you're looking for a way to earn it without having to pay money, you could always sign up to be a moderator on the iGP forums. So feel free to go check that out if any of you guys are interested in doing that. So we got about 3 minutes remaining here, 4 minutes remaining before the race. You'll notice that just about everybody has KERS in this league. This is not a rookie league. This is a pro that we're in. This is a pro level league. The top four at the end of this season will get promoted to elite. And I do believe, I am going to be one of those 4 almost certainly. And then it's going to be a little bit of a quiet season because there's only going to be 4 of us in Elite next season, unless people start joining who are already Elite. Obviously, then we can race them, but for right now, there's nobody in Elite for AOR, which means that when we get promoted, we'll be the only 4 people in Elite. So it might be some quiet racing at the start of next season. So just about everybody has KERS, though. Probably everybody has DRS. You know, everybody's pretty well versed at this point if they're in pro. Oh, right, you can also see on my live weather here that it says 80% chance of sunny in 2 minutes. Again, weather is turned off right now, but that just kind of shows you guys what it looks like when you have the weather station. It gives you that little prediction thing down there. My driver's only at 81% health. My other driver on my other account, she's at 98, 99% health, something like that. This driver's only at 81% health heading into this race, so not that great, but I'm probably going to get a new driver. I'm probably going to replace this girl once I hit level 8, which isn't after this race, but after the next race, which I think is Japan, if I'm not mistaken. So after Japan, I will be getting a level 8 driver who will hopefully be a good bit better than this level 7 driver. In fact, in some ways, she's going to be worse. A lot of times when you're going for new drivers, they'll be slower right out of the gate, but they'll be faster with some training, obviously. You know, that's one of the trade-offs that you have to handle when you're dealing with new drivers and whatnot. So when I got this driver, for example, it was a step down. Her talent was higher, but just about everything else was lower, except just a couple of key things. So she wasn't that great right away, but she's been getting quite a bit better. I won 3 races in a row later in the season. I think at the beginning of the season I was 4th or 5th fastest, but after doing some well-timed defensive training, she's become quite a bit faster, also because of health training as well. I've been doing a lot of health and defense training. Her speed is quite good. It's really just her focus and her physical attributes that really need improving, which is what I've been doing. The next driver that I get will probably be really, really healthy with really high talent, but won't be very fast, and I'll just train the speed myself. So here we are. Engines are firing up, getting ready to go green here. Again, a good number of people in the chat, and somebody spectating even. Luis Calzado is spectating the race. So again, starting from pole position, and actually I'm going to go to push level 4. I'm glad I remembered to do that right at the end. We can see a number of drivers retired right at the beginning there. That's 4 people, only 14 cars still remaining. And already a pretty big gap starting to form between myself and second place. You can really see that, and I know I've got the pace to really pull out a huge gap on these guys on account of getting pole position. So I'm going to go ahead and do push level 4 for just a little bit, try and maybe get people out of my DRS range. And we're already pink with the tires, so I'm going to go into back off straight away. Right, so we're not, just finished sector 1 basically. We're already out of push level 4 into push level 1, and now it's just about managing those tires. But look at that, 1.1 seconds just in the first sector. That's really a good sign. We're off to a great start. Now KERS, I want to mention that really quickly at the beginning of this race. KERS is, it's not the same in this game as it is in real life, or was in real life. It builds up over the course of the beginning of the race. You'll see the little bars that say KERS on the right hand side. Those are starting to build up very slowly. When it builds up then to full, when it builds up to full, then you can use it. You can have your driver do it by having this checked, driver controlled KERS, or you can use this KERS button down here, down at the bottom, to manually deploy your KERS. Which is generally what most people do. If you're not attending the race, then your driver will automatically have driver-controlled KERS, but if you're attending, you're going to want to go ahead and uncheck this box, and then you can manage the KERS yourself. One good tip when it comes to KERS is that you want to use it when the throttle is full. Down here it says throttle braking. when the throttle is full and you're below 6th gear. That's one of the tips that Duncan gave me when I was first getting KERS. He told me to use it when the throttle is open and when you're in low gears. So for instance, when I come out of this corner here, I'm probably going to be in 2nd or 3rd gear, and then that's when I would use my KERS. So actually 4th gear, so I would only use just a little squirt of KERS coming out of that, and then I would let off. KERS does help with top end speed, but I guess according to Duncan anyway, it's better to be used in lower gears when you're accelerating. It has more of an effect. So our tire's pretty warm at this point, despite being in push level 1. Not quite as warm as Wright in 3rd place, but I still did a purple sector 1. The reason is because of the standing start at the beginning of lap 1. But the important thing is that it was 4/10 faster than the car behind me. In fact, it was at least 2/10 faster than everybody. The next fastest car was Duncan, actually, in 4th place. He's Davies. Yeah, and Duncan telling me that it's looking good right now. So I'm asking Duncan if he's 2-stopping, because remember, before the race I said that running 3 sets of the soft tires for 10 laps apiece, that may end up being the way to go. That might be the winning choice in this race. No, it looks like he is not 2-stopping. So yeah, yeah, it's looking pretty good at this point. It's safe to assume that the 2 cars behind me are also going to be not 2-stopping. They're going to be 3-stopping. I'm feeling pretty good right now. Look at that, a 140.98. It's a very quick lap, 1.5 seconds quicker than just about anybody else. Yes, that is 1.5 seconds quicker than anybody else. Oop. Now, I will say, the reason I think I'm still quick, even though my tires are a little on the hot side, is because I'm using those comb homes. That's part of the reason that I went with the comb homes, because I wanted them to last longer, and also I want them to work. I want them to have a better operating range. As these, and you'll see Duncan now. Oh no, he got DRS. Yeah, DRS is activated now. So Duncan did a 27.7, but that's with DRS actually. So I'm still quite a bit faster. So right now, you know, not much going on in the race, obviously, when you're first starting out, just down in push level 1, just keeping an eye on everything. I mean, even if something was happening though, there's really not much I can do, because, I'm on the super soft tires. I really can't go to any push level other than back off again, just because of the temperatures that my tires are at already. I really don't want to be messing with any of that stuff. Oh, driver control KERS I accidentally turned on. Is that off now? Okay, KERS is not yet charged. Good. So right now I'm really just going to be keeping an eye on my fuel, just trying to keep an eye on what people are doing, keep an eye on my tires, see if I need to make any changes to my setup. We're coming to the end of lap 3 on a 7-lap stint, and I'm at 63%. So yeah, this is going to work out well. The 8 laps, obviously, the 8-lap stints on the Super Softs is going to be a little bit more marginal versus the 7-lap stints, especially in the opening stages. The track does rubber in, just like in real F1. The track does get faster as you go. I don't know if it has any effect on tire wear or not. That's one thing that I would be curious to hear about from some people who maybe know a little bit more than me. The track definitely does get faster, but I'm not sure if the rubber in effect has any sort of effect on tire wear. So I'm not sure if my tires are necessarily going to look any better at the end of my 4th stint versus my 1st stint, or my 2nd stint versus my 3rd stint. So I'm not really sure if there's going to be any sort of difference there. You can see Duncan putting in a 27.1. That's with KERS and DRS though. That's with both. You could see him using both KERS and DRS in that DRS straight. Little does Massimo know that I am in fact making another video right now. Yep, James has a new driver. Let me see if I can remember who his driver is. Nope, I am struggling to remember. Is it Sanchez? No, it's gonna be one of the red cars. Cavallero, yeah, Cavallero. is James Knight's new driver. He got a new one. His tire's a little on the warm side right now. If I were James, I would probably go down into push level 1. It does seem they just cooled down a little bit though, actually, right as I was saying that. You can see his tires are cooler than the car in front of him, which is what you want, but they're not quite as cold as the car behind him. I'd say Brundle has the better looking tire temperature right now. And also you can see my tire temperature is starting to come down as I do a 140.09, Davies with a 140.38, but again, that's with KERS and DRS, so my pace is still looking very good. Finished my 4th lap and just now hitting 50% tire condition, so I will definitely be able to handle a 7-lap stint. 8 laps is going to be a little bit more marginal. I am going to try it. I've made that decision while I was talking here. I am going to go ahead and try the 8 laps on the super soft tires. If it doesn't work out very well, I will switch to the softs for the 3rd stint, but not for the 4th stint. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it off there until we get closer to the pit time. And then we'll talk a little bit more about what's going on at that time, because obviously I'm going to pit into traffic. It's about an 18-second pit stop, so I mean I'm going to drop right down the order, probably into the lower half of the top 10, and how I navigate traffic is going to be a big factor in my finishing position in this race. So we'll go ahead and pick it back up once it's time to pit. Okay, we'll go ahead and pick it back up here. So I just started my final lap. I've got a 7.6 second gap to Duncan behind, so and he's already told me that he's not two-stopping, so feeling pretty good as far as Duncan is concerned. Sanchez might be two-stopping possibly, but he's not attending, but his tires are also looking pretty good. You can see 4th, 5th, and 6th, their tires are all a little on the hot side, for sure, but they're not attending. They're not attending the race. And you can see James here is asking me about tire percent, 33%. And I'm going to tell him that I'm at 33%, but I'm going to also let him know that I'm on the comb home. So you can see my tire temps really starting to come down now. They're really in that nice pink area. I'm only through Sector 1, though. I'm not quite into Sector 3. Okay, now I'm into Sector 3, and actually I'm going to go ahead and do push hard. There's really not much left to this lap, only about 30 seconds. Yep, yeah, James, so yeah, I'm on the comb homes. Again, that's really for the, so that you get a little bit extra life. If I was on the done lots right now, the difference would only be maybe 5%, something like that. It's really not a huge percent, but it does make a difference, and it does help. So in push level 5, and you can see actually my tires just really not bad. So I could have even gone into push level 5 a little bit sooner than that. Coming into the pits now on push level 5, 31%. Was my tire life. I did not see what my fuel was at. I completely forgot. I do that sometimes. You guys probably will too, but I forgot to check what my fuel level was at. I should have checked, and that's so that I could adjust this. If I had more than 1 liter remaining in the tank, I probably would have taken this down to 28, but I was not paying attention, so I'm going to go ahead and leave it at 29, and we'll do our best for the next stint. So we'll adjust this 34 here if needed. So coming out in 5th place, actually, really not bad. Going to switch down now from PL5 to PL4. I wish I had done that right at the entrance of the pits. I got DRS, though. That's super helpful. Let's see if I can get by this guy at the end of the straight. And yes, I've done it, and that's partially because of being in push level 4. If I had been in a different push level, I'm not sure. If I had been in 3 or 2, I'm not sure I would have gotten by him on that straight there. So important, very important there, because now we got a little bit of clear air. It's about a 3-second gap to the next car ahead. I'm the only car besides James that's coming to the pits now at this point. Yep, Duncan is confirming that softs can do 10 laps. And I'm just kind of confirming with him that I had in fact considered trying that strategy, but in fact I had not gone for it. So my tires are a little warm. I think I pushed a little too hard. Again, I think I had it in push level 5 for just a little too long. My tires are a little bit too warm. They're going to warm up pretty quickly. So I might suffer a little bit in this stint. A lot of times when you overheat your tires at a hot track such as Singapore, there is no chance that you're going to be able to cool them down. It's just the ambient air temperature is not low enough to cool down the super softs, even on push level 1. They'll just keep rising. Again, as the tire life goes down, the tires will start cooling as well. As I think we're about to get DRS, and we did get DRS on KERS here. And it looks like we were pretty far back, but are we gonna be able to manage it? Yes, we just about managed it. Just got ahead of him to do a 27.4. So we're really navigating the traffic very well here. And you can see it had nothing to do with push level on that one. I wasn't even gonna try to increase my push level to get by him, because then I'm just gonna overcook my tires, and I'm gonna suffer the entire stint. Because again, you cannot cool these tires until they get below probably 50%. Health. Not at this track anyway, not in these conditions. So even if I didn't get by him there, I'm not going to change my push level. I'm going to stay in push level 1, and I'm just going to let it run its course. Yeah, too many red cars. So I was at 31% at the end of 7 laps. So I think at the end of 8 laps, I'll be in the mid-20s. So it should be perfect. I really do think that I made the right choice as far as the tire type and the strategy as well. It really does seem that the super softs really gain an advantage here. It might be because of the nature of the Singapore circuit. I'm kind of talking in hypotheticals now. I don't know for a fact that this is fact or not. But it's possible that because it's a street circuit, you get the extra benefit from the mechanical grip of the super soft tires. At higher speed tracks, you may, excuse me, I think it's more about downforce, aerodynamics, that sort of thing. So you may not get quite as much of an advantage by using super softs. But I think at a circuit like Monaco or Singapore, you really start to see that difference between the super softs and the softs. And the softs really don't last that much longer. Again, Duncan was saying that they can do 10 laps, but you probably don't want to do more than 10. And again, the super softs will do 8. So you're only getting a couple of extra laps from being on the softs, but you also have to run higher fuel. And you know, there's pros and cons to any strategy, of course, but obviously it's really about if the pros outweigh the cons. And I do believe that my strategy, the pros outweigh the cons in this scenario at least. So coming up on Sanchez now, end of lap 10, and I'm willing to bet we're going to see him dive into the pits on those softs and go on to another set of the softs, but we'll get confirmation in just a moment here. Yep, and you'll actually see it up here before you see it on the map. You'll say P. Sanchez enters the pits, KERS enters the pits, Baker enters the pits, Klein enters the pits. So these are all the two stoppers. Gelly, that's Jerome, that's Onage, that's his driver. He was right up at the front at the beginning of the season, but then really started to drop back, and I'm not sure what happened there exactly. Because I think he has a 100% car and stuff, so I'm not sure what happened with his season. But it does seem that he's lost a bit of performance as the season has progressed. He might be 100% focused on next season at this point, something like that. Never know. As I did do the purple lap, fastest lap of the race so far, with a 139.99 last lap, which is a quarter of a second faster than Duncan's fastest lap, which I believe was one that was set when he was using KERS and DRS. We can see there's a little battle going on, a little AI battle, because again, those dots are pink and green, and there are no names in here that are pink or green, so we know for a fact those two guys are not attending. That's Sanchez and Fukazawa. And yeah, I think we're gonna go ahead and stop it there. Just like with the last stint, you know, my tires are pretty warm. I'm just sitting in PL1, waiting for the stint to end. Really not much in the way of tire temperature management at this type of race, because again, I'm on the super softs and it's warm, which means you're just sitting in PL1 the entire time. But again, you'll see I'm setting these purples in push level 1, and these guys are very competitive. You know, this is not because my driver is loads better than everybody else. It's just about managing my temperatures, just like they're doing as well. Again, my driver seems to have made a big step forward around mid-season. Again, I won 3 races in a row. I didn't win the last one, but it really seems like I'm on course to absolutely dominate this race. We're not even halfway through, and I'm already 9 seconds ahead of Duncan. So this is very surprising for me, for sure. As you can see, Duncan here saying, "You and your operating range tires." That's a spit. So yeah, you can see I seem to have an advantage here, certainly. Some of that might be the comb homes. Again, it seems like that was the right choice, as my hot tires do seem to be putting in purple laps and everything. Duncan on this account, though, is lower level than me. I believe he has a worse car and a worse driver. So I should be beating Duncan. I really should. Again, I do believe I did make the right choices here. We'd probably be a lot closer to each other if I had made the wrong decision as far as strategy. So again, I'm going to go ahead and stop it there. We're going to pick it up at lap 15 is when I'm pitting next time. We're only on lap 12 right now, so I will see you guys in just a few laps. Okay, actually, we're going to be picking it up here on lap 14. So this is the lap before I'm pitting. You can really see the tire temperature starting to come down on account of the tire condition being so low. So we're really getting to a nice operating temperature. We can see Duncan has put in an even faster lap than I have. I wasn't paying attention, so I'm not sure if that was... No, I don't think it was DRS. It might have had something to do with KERS, but I don't think it had anything to do with DRS. He is lapping faster than me at the moment, but his tires are a little bit fresher at this moment as well. And we can see my tires really starting to come down now. I'm going to click off my driver, just kind of compare. Yep, they look even colder than Duncan's do right now. So I'm going to go ahead and click back on my driver, and I'm going to move it up to push level 2 for this in lap. So again, I'm pitting at the end of lap 15. I'm into push level 2 now, which is the first time I'm using anything other than push level 1. And let's see what kind of sector times I get. 27.7 on the last time through. Let's see if it's any better this time. And I think that's what's going to help me determine if I want to go for the soft or the super soft. So let's see what this sector 1 time is. 27.5, that's a good time. So yeah, I am going to stick with the super soft tires for all 4 stints. They can easily handle 8 laps. Again, the tire condition is getting pretty low, but the fuel is so low right now that I'm still putting in good sector times here. So again, on push level 2 right now, tires are, I believe, a little bit warmer than they were at the beginning of the lap. It's still not really all that warm. Duncan's very excited about catching up to me by 2/10 a lap, 3/10 a lap. Yeah, again, you know, this is pure luck that this was the race that I chose. I wasn't expecting to be dominant in this one, so that let me go ahead and go to push level 5 before I forget. In fact, once again, I think I'm doing it too late. I probably should have gone and pushed level 5 kind of on this straight right here. I think that would have been good on that back straight sort of area. That would have been a good place to go into push level 5. So we're coming into the pits. I'm going to keep an eye on my fuel now. You can see it's at 2.3. So actually, I think I'm going to want to take this down to 33. Let's just double check. It should be above 1 when we come into the pits. Oh yeah, in fact, it was at 2. So yeah, I could definitely take out a leader there so that it's 33 laps now. Still going to leave this at 29. I don't really feel like because 7 laps, 4 liters a lap, that's 28, so I'm not going to mess with that. I'm going to leave that at 29. Also, I'm going to be using my KERS in the final stint, and I'm not sure if that increases or decreases fuel flow rate, or if it doesn't have any effect at all. That's something where if somebody maybe knows the answer to that. Oh, I went into push level 4 a little bit quicker this time, and I'm going to get DRS here off of Sanchez, and as soon as I get past him, I'm going to go ahead and go down. Yeah, I'm just going to go and back off now. and I'm gonna manage. Oh, he's using KERS. The driver's using KERS, but I still stayed ahead. Still using KERS coming out of the corner. Again, this is the AI using the KERS. The driver isn't actually attending right now. Still using KERS. Still using KERS, and he's finally by me. And that's fine. I don't mind. You know, I've got such a good lead at this point that it really doesn't matter. I'm not really racing him. Really, Duncan is my main threat. Nope. I don't believe I've used any KERS. If I have used any KERS, it wasn't on purpose. So I'm just gonna sit behind him for a lap. I'll get him on the next one, or he'll use even more KERS. But he only has so much, because again, this whole bar is your KERS allocation for the entire race. It's not a lap by lap thing like it used to be in F1. It's rather you get one big tank of KERS. Builds up over the course of 5 to 10 laps, depending on what circuit you're racing at, and then you can use that. And generally, it takes about, I don't know, 60 to 90 seconds to drain your KERS. So if you just hold down the button, usually it's going to take you about an entire lap to do it. And I'll go ahead and do that for this one. Because I'm winning by so much, I really don't need to use my KERS strategically. I can use it just to try and get fastest lap. Which is sort of what Sanchez just did here. Obviously, his driver used some KERS, and he put in fastest lap of the race with the 138.92, 0.6 faster than me. And it looks like actually he's pulled out a little bit. Yeah, I was 0.8 behind him. Actually, when so he's not holding me up at this point, which means the DRS that I'm getting off of him right now is actually beneficial. See, I did a 27.1 in Sector 1, which is probably going to be a good bit faster than Duncan. Oh, he just came out of the pits, though, so his Sector 1 was a 43 seconds, so we can't really compare there. But just to compare, I guess, to Cortens, he did a 28.2 without DRS. So, I mean, I gained probably a second, maybe 0.7, as a result of getting this DRS. And again, I'm really not being held up by Sanchez because he is on light fuel. Since he's on a two-stop strategy, he's stopping at the end of lap 20, which means he has 3 laps to complete, which means right now he's got less than 16 liters of fuel. So he's got quite a bit less fuel than me. He is on older tires and on harder tires, but that fuel difference, that 10-liter fuel difference, does make quite a difference. Also, he's a quick guy in this league. I believe he's won some races, or at least gotten podiums. He's definitely a race contender for sure. So he's certainly not holding me up, and he's giving me DRS, in fact. So he might actually be making me quicker. We'll see. It seems like I'm a little bit closer this time through. We're going to see as we cross the line. Remember, it was 0.8 last time. Yeah, this time it's only 0.5. So it does look like I'm a little bit quicker than he is at this point, and I'm probably going to get by him, or I'm going to force him to use more of his KERS. Again, I'm saving all of my KERS for the final stint. Yeah, see, Duncan says he's holding me up now, and I think that is the case. I don't think he was holding me up last lap, but I do think he is holding me up now. Let's go ahead and see. I would really like to get by him without having to use any sort of KERS or anything. And there we go. There's the DRS overtake. And he doesn't seem to be retaliating with any sort of KERS usage this time. And so we didn't lose all that much. In fact, you can see last lap was a 139.47, which was a personal best for me. I'm going to go ahead and sell that to Duncan. I think the DRS made up for S2 and S3. Was a PB last lap. Basically, I'm just telling Duncan what I just told you guys. The DRS, I believe, was more helpful than the dirty air was a hindrance. Wow, look at that, a 36.0. So a couple of greens here. This is going to be a another PB lap for sure. Obviously, if you put in all greens for all 3 sectors, that's a new personal best lap. And in fact, if it's really quick, yeah, this might be new fastest lap of the race. Again, that's with DRS. But still, that's always great. James, let's see what's going on with him. He's in 11th now. His tires look good. He's got KERS though. So yeah, just confirming with them there, kind of what we've already been talking about, which is that the comb homes really seem to be the way to go for this race. They really seem to have made a pretty huge difference. So pretty happy about that. Wow, and actually a 27.2 in Sector 1. I did a 27.1 with DRS, and I did a 27.2 without DRS. That's pretty impressive, actually. I'm surprised about that. James is on Bridge Rock. Again, you know, I don't think tires make a huge difference, and they're really all pretty similar if you really go look at them. In fact, let me go ahead and pull up the different tires while the race is going right now, and I can talk you guys through some of the stats real quick. So Comb Home has a 4 for grip, but it has a 5 for resilience and a 7 for operating range. So the grip isn't that good, but everything else is pretty good. The Michigan tires have a 9 for grip, but a 2 for resilience, a 2, and a 4 for an operating range. The Dunlots have an 8 for grip, so it's 1 less, but they have a 4 for resilience. So you get 2 resilience and you're sacrificing only 1 grip, which I think is a good trade-off. I think that's the way to go. So I think Dunlots are better than the Michigan. Bridge Rocks, you're getting 9 grip, but 3 resilience, but only 3 operating range. So with the Bridge Rock, you're trading 1 resilience and 1 operating range for 1 grip, which might be better in certain scenarios. But in this type of scenario where James is at Singapore and he has overheating super softs, the Bridge Rocks are actually going to be worse because of that worse operating range. If he was on the softs, this might have been the right choice, because I think he could manage his tire temperatures on the softs a lot better at this race. They would be that nice kind of cool color that we see Sanchez on right now. So actually, with the Bridge Rock tires, I think the softs might have been the way to go. Possibly even just the mediums, honestly, and just sit on push level 3 on the mediums, push level 4, something like that. That might have been better for the Bridge Rocks. The next tire after that, the last ones, is Good Week. That one you get a 9 for grip, a 4 for resilience, but only a 2 for operating range. So you got to be really, really careful about the operating range on the Good Week tires. Again, I like to just add all those numbers up. I don't know for a fact if that actually means anything, but if you add all those numbers up, the only ones that add up to 16 are Comb Home and Dunlots. So I believe they are the best. I don't know if that is in fact the case, but I certainly believe that is the case here. So you can see Duncan here is talking about how he's pretty much gotten nothing but second place finishes this season, which he is leading the championship though. So just goes to prove that consistency is what wins championships, not just winning races. Again, I really struggled at the beginning of this season. Really had a hard time at the beginning of the season here, finishing 5th and 6th, and I think even worse than that sometimes. But my driver really came along, really developed my driver well through training, and now she just really seems to have found a serious amount of pace, and she's just running a lot better. Really impressed with her. I don't think I'll be keeping her again. She's only level 18. She needs a lot of health training and stuff. So I'm probably going to end up replacing her, but again, I'm very, very pleasantly surprised with the performance that she's given in the later stages of my contract with her here. And now they're talking about real life F1. Which we tend to do. In fact, this is a slightly less attended race. I would say usually there's at least a couple more people that are usually in these. It does kind of taper off as the seasons go. I think you'll find that universal to most leagues. Everybody shows up for the early races because they want to think that they have a shot at the title and stuff like that. But once people start to realize that they're really not in contention for the championship and whatnot, they do tend to drop off, which I can understand. If I wasn't placing in the top top 5, I would probably, you know, maybe take a break from attending and just come back for next season. That's totally understandable, and you can do that. Really, you don't have to attend the races. Your performance will suffer, almost guaranteed, but you don't have to attend the races. You could still score points and stuff like that without putting so much effort into it, basically. So at this point, we could tell that Duncan's been using some KERS, as you can see at the top right there. He's been using his KERS pretty consistently. He's probably, let's actually take a look at his, I'm going to keep an eye on his dot here as he's coming out of this hairpin. Let's see if he uses any KERS right there. Not seeing any KERS usage there, no. And that's probably one of the top 3 places to use KERS, top 3 or 4. But he might be using it exclusively for the DRS straight, but he has been closing me down. You can see it's only 4.3 seconds, the gap now. So end of lap 22, last lap on this stint before we go into the final stint. Feeling pretty good. Duncan is closing me down, but I have a lot more KERS than him. KERS is usually about 3 or 4 seconds, something like that. It does depend on the circuit. But KERS is probably about 3 or 4 seconds. So honestly, you're probably going to see a PB from me that's in the like 134s or, you know, 135, something like that. It's a huge difference you see from KERS. Again, because you're deploying it for the entire lap, if you decide to do that. Again, Duncan has been using it more strategically, which is generally how you want to do it. But in when you're in a position like mine where you're leading the race very comfortably, again, it's only 3.8 at this point, but I have so much more KERS than Duncan that I'm feeling pretty confident about it. Even if he uses up the rest of the KERS, I think that's only just about going to put him in DRS range, something like that. And hopefully at that point I'll be able to pull away. Oh, I forgot, I'm going to go on push hard. So this is the end lap. I'm putting on push hard on this straight like I wanted to before. I probably should have been on push level 2 at the start of this lap. I forgot to do that because I was talking to you guys. But I'm on push hard now like I wanted to be on the previous stint. Yeah, they're saying it too, but yeah, I think it was the right strategy call. You can see coming into the pits, I'm the number 2 car because I finished 2nd place last season, so that means my pit box is really early. It goes, you know, the number 1 pit box is first, followed by everybody else. So you see Duncan is 12, so his pit box is pretty far down, whereas mine was right at the beginning there. And also I'm going to manage my temperatures really well here, so I'm on push level 5. Right up until, oh no, they messed up my pit stop. Fako's Pirate messes up T Davi's pit stop, so unfortunately they have messed up my pit stop, which is gonna hurt. I'm gonna go to PL4, yep, and they messed up my pit stop, as they could see. Of course. Things can never be too easy. They always gotta give me a little bit of a hard time. So we're coming to the end of the straight. I'm gonna go ahead and go to back off now. So Duncan's driver might have a lot better health than mine. You can see my driver now at this distance in the race. We're about 80% into the race. She's already down to 75% health, which does affect your speed. Duncan's driver might be a lot healthier. Yeah, unfortunately we can't tell. No, yeah, we can't see his health percent. We can see a lot of information about like how much KERS he has remaining, stuff like that. But unfortunately can't really get any health percent information. But basically, I was a lot faster earlier in the stint, and he's a lot faster now. So it seems to me that his driver is probably healthier, which is attributing to the pace difference later on in the race. So hopefully the difference isn't too bad. Again, I've got a lot of KERS to use. I'm probably going to use my KERS on lap 29. Assuming I don't see Duncan start coming at me. So I do need to be keeping an eye on Duncan here. this is going to get a little bit more intense now. I really got to keep a close eye on Duncan. He's only 2.8 seconds behind me, and he's got half a bar of KERS or so. So he's got enough KERS to get within DRS range for sure. He gained a 10th on me in the middle sector. I gained a 10th on him in the final sector there, though. You can ignore the sector 1 times though, because our pit boxes are at different locations, so these sector 1 times are completely irrelevant. Basically, I did my pit stop before crossing the finish line. He did his pit stop after crossing the finish line, so that makes those very different. So let's keep an eye though on these sector 1 times. Hopefully it'll be a low 27, 27.2, that's a good time. Hopefully Duncan's is, nope, it's a 27.1, so it's a little bit better. I did not see, I wasn't keeping an eye on his dot, so I didn't see if he used any KERS in order to help give himself that time. I may want to start using KERS strategically rather than trying to go for fastest lap. That's what I'm thinking right now. We'll keep an eye on Duncan though and see what happens. I'm going to take a break from talking for just a minute here because I've been talking non-stop, but I'm going to be keeping a close eye on Duncan here. Okay, so we're coming to the end. There's only 4 laps remaining here, and we can see I'm actually matching Duncan now. He still hasn't used any KERS, and we did find out, he just told us that actually it was his driver that was using the KERS. He wasn't trying to use it. Yeah, there we go. I matched him for Sector 1 and Sector 2, and then I was a 10th quicker in Sector 3. So this is looking much better now. That's a new PB for me, 37.82. So things are looking a little bit better now. It was really, I think, just that 3rd stint where I was struggling. The fact that I put off my final stint, the fact that I made my final stint 7 laps long is, I think, really what's making the difference here. Last stint, he really just had healthier tires than me the whole time. This stint, we're more on equal ground, and I think it's really showing here as I actually go another 10th quicker than him in Sector 1 here. So really not much left to this race now. Again, that gap 2.9, so it's actually bigger than last we checked, but only by a 10th of a second. I still got to keep a very close eye on Duncan's dot to make sure that he's not abusing KERS to try and get into my DRS range. You can see my tires are pretty warm right now. That's a pretty constant thing throughout the entire race. Is the warm tires, and that's because it's Singapore and because I'm on the super soft, so that's just kind of inherent. So another 10th quicker in Sector 2, another PB as well in spite of the pretty hot tires. So 3 seconds now the gap to Duncan. At the yeah, thankfully, because really, I want to show off now to you guys. And look at that, PB 37.72, and that's on push level 1 with pretty hot tires and not using any KERS as well. But yeah, I really wanted to show you guys what it's like to use KERS for an entire lap, because it's pretty crazy. It's a lot of fun, actually. Everybody really enjoys doing it. If you have enough of a gap, if it doesn't mean enough, then most people save their KERS. If you're like Duncan, though, in Duncan's position, where you're trying to keep up with someone, you're trying to battle with them, you want to use your KERS more strategically. You want to use it coming out of a corner onto a straight. You want to avoid using it under braking, because you can just hold down the KERS button even while you're braking. I do think it makes a speed improvement under braking, but obviously a lot less versus when you're accelerating. So it's not slowing you down to use KERS under braking, but certainly it's not making you nearly as much faster as it is as if you use KERS coming out of a corner versus going in. So obviously you do want to be using it at the right places strategically to really help yourself as much as you can, but if you're in a position like mine where you're leading the race pretty comfortably, or you're in a position that's pretty comfortable. For example, let's see here, T. DeBaker. He's got an 11-second gap to the car ahead and a 7-second gap to the car behind. So, I mean, he's going to get 4th place no matter what he does. So at this point, I would say it's safe to say that he could have just saved his KERS. Okay, I'm going to go ahead KERS this entire lap now. Lap 29 is the one I'm deciding to go for. To just kind of keep Duncan away from me. So I'm just going to hold down the button for the entire lap. Again, this is not good KERS usage. Hopefully this doesn't end up biting me in the butt, because Duncan is pretty good with his KERS usage. All the tips that I've given you here are tips that he's given me. You can see, yeah, he was using KERS on the straight there. And in fact, he's using it coming under braking. I don't think that was intentional. That might be because of the lag. Once again, Duncan is using the 2D account to spectate to try and see the best time for him to use KERS. There is a delay, so he might not be using it at 100% the best times, but he is trying certainly. So I've already done a PB in Sector 1. In fact, fastest Sector 1 of the entire race, and that's even without DRS, did a 26.2. Coming to the end of Sector 2, not a PB, 34.4 on that one, so somebody has actually gone faster. You can see the gap now to Duncan. Even though he's using KERS too, he's not holding it down like I am, and you can see the difference there. I'm 0.8 quicker in Sector 1, 0.7 quicker in Sector 2. Gap now 4.7 seconds, and you can see I started holding down this button right at the beginning of the lap, and you can see it's going to finish up right at the end of the lap. So usually it's about 1 lap if you just hold the button down for the entire time. Sometimes it's a little less than 1 lap. You'll see actually for this one, a little less than 1 lap, so I'm actually going to let off. That gives me just a little boost here, and I was right. I did do a 34.29, and I've got this little squirt of KERS here, and I'm going to go ahead and use it coming onto this DRS straight. As soon as I see it go full throttle, it's going to lift off, and then back on, and I'm going to use that KERS and just help get myself to top speed as quickly as I can, hitting about 180 miles per hour, 183 miles per hour, give or take, 27.0. So that's a good Sector 1 time. Duncan's using the rest of his KERS, but at this point it's a 5.8 second gap. He does not have enough KERS to close that down. Even if he goes on to push level 5 and uses the rest of that KERS, there's no way he's going to be able to make up that 5.8 second gap and also get past me. Keep in mind, there's no more DRS zones. There is only 1 DRS zone per track in iGP. I know in real F1, just about every track has 2 DRS zones at this point, but not iGP. Just 1 DRS zone per track. That's all you get, and it's where the original one was for Singapore here. If you don't have 2D and you're wondering where the DRS is, just ask somebody in your league who has 2D. I've done that before. I've gone, hey guys, what sector is DRS in again? And then that way I can try and time, because you want to be the right distance behind somebody heading into a DRS zone, or ahead of somebody going into a DRS zone. So coming to the end of the final lap, I probably should have gone on to push level 5 at the end, or on that back straight, like I'd meant to previously. But there we go, end of the race. With about a 5-second gap. Let's see it as we, and actually gained another 10th in the final sector there, 5.4 seconds. I think that's the most dominant win that I've had in quite some time. Usually it's a lot closer than that. So I got lucky that this was the race I decided to record for you guys. But I had the time to do it today, and I wanted to go a little bit more in depth. Like I said, this obviously was a little bit less structured than previous videos. I didn't really have specific things I wanted to talk about, but I wanted to add on things. So as you can see here, I ended with 1.0 liters of fuel. Really glad I didn't take this down to 28. Remember we talked about that earlier. Remember it's about 4 liters per lap times 7 laps, that's 28 liters. But I knew that I was going to be using KERS and pushing hard and stuff like that, so I went ahead and left it at 29, and that was the right choice. If I had made it 28, who knows what would have happened. I may have puttered, came to a stop just before the finish line, and then I would have finished in 14th place, because not a single person got lapped in this race. Everybody finished on the lead lap. So if I had ran out of fuel at the line, then I would have gotten 14th place, which obviously is not very good. You don't score any points for 14th place. In the end though, pole position, race win, and fastest lap. Did the Vettel, got the Grand Slam. Very happy about that, obviously. It's going to do some nice stuff for my championship, but unfortunately the gap that Duncan built earlier on in this championship, in this season, I do believe is enough to keep him ahead in the points. I don't think I'm going to take control. That's going to do it for the race portion of this video, though. But coming up, I'm going to go ahead and do some more discussion about stuff that I do after the race.